Botfest 2017 just passed in Hong Kong. It's a Southeast Asia convention dedicated to robots and more specifically Transformers, and has a huge third party scene over there. Mastermind Creations and Ocular Max had a booth, and they were showing off some of their latest products to be released in the future. And of this spread of products, one thing really stuck out for me and made me froth at the frickin' mouth.
It's funny because I think last week we were talking about it off the mic,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden here you are going to be spending more money in the near future.
You know what's funny? It's the fourth time I'm buying this damn mold. Um, for those who aren't familiar with what we're referring to, although you'd have to be blind if you're not looking at the YouTube video image, we are referring to as what right now is being referred to as Nitro. Um, the official name, at least according to, I believe it was a TFW 2005 report, that was the first one to kind of break what the official third party name is for it. And that name is, I'm just pulling it up right now, is Mastermind Creations Reformatted Nitro. That's what they're going with. Um, Now, what Nitro is it's a heavily retooled use of the Calidus mold, which is the IDW Rodimus, and it is turned into the iconic Transformers Galaxy Force character Nitro Convoy, and does an insanely well job at doing what that original toy was and the original character from Galaxy Force. Nitro Convoy, for people who don't know, was in Galaxy Force, which was the original Japanese version of Transformers Cybertron. Nitro Convoy was the king of the road of the planet Speedia, and he was their leader. And obviously, in America, um, they changed his gender and turned him into a female and called him Override, and I think it was called Speed Planet. They didn't even have like a no, I think they gave it a fancy name called Velocitron or something like that. But either way, to me that Override character doesn't exist. It'll always be Nitro Convoy, and Nitro Convoy is like easily like my second favorite Transformer character of all time. Like, it just, he was so cool in Galaxy Force. Like, just someone who like really loves racing, and just the way that character was, and how the whole planet of Speedia is. And if you're someone who really enjoyed Initial D, clearly the guys who worked on Galaxy Force also using CG in cars. Some really good racing episodes, and I mean, there was a lot of people who were watching the Cybertron dub and going like, "Man, those racing episodes, like, they just went nowhere." It's like, no, you're not paying attention to the subtleties of how Nitro Convoy is using a grip style over, like, well, that's just it. There was like the ways that he would corner as opposed to Megatron or Hotshot, or in this case Excellion, as he was called in Galaxy Force. It was such an awesome character, and it was just, again, they were all fighting after the chip square, or the force chip as it was called in America, which Nitro Convoy always saw it just as a trophy, like a trophy from like a racetrack, but it
Right.
was actually just the one piece of Primus to unlock Primus and everything. And again, it's just, this character was so awesome. And it's funny, when I did my post on Twitter, I'm like, the king of the road is back, and some people would be like, queen of the road, and I'd be like, listen, okay, listen.
Hey,
My,
you.
my rule, and again, this isn't me being sexist or something, okay? My rule is, whatever the source material was of that language, that's what I go by. I'm not sexist, because I'll give you the flip side of that. Air Razor in Japan was a dude. Was a dude. Do I prefer Air Razor as a dude, or do I prefer her as a her? I see Air Razor as a girl. That's who she was in the original source material. It makes sense. Obviously, she was turned into a guy because Japan's like, oh, girl toys don't sell. Let's make her a dude. They saw a way out to make a sale. In the same way, Nitro Convoy was turned into Override because when they were doing the dub of Cybertron, Cartoon Network's like, hey, could you do like a female character? And of course, they didn't know that Thunderblast was going to be in the series later, also known as Chromia in the Japanese version. So they made, they're just like, okay, well, we'll make Override. We'll make this a female character, and it doesn't even make any sense. As like you look at the production stuff and everything, and it was clearly intended to be a male character. I mean, there's one scene where um, Nitro Convoy blushes. One of the humans say something to him, one of the female humans, and he blushes. You know what I mean? Now you could argue, oh well, it's a female female relationship. No, but it's just the original context of the original source material
Mm.
of Galaxy Force. That's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm going to go with. I saw Galaxy Force came out a year and a half before Cybertron did, and when Cybertron was brought over to America, they butchered it. They used a lot of the CG that was used was actually not. It was prototype CG, like it was like off models. For some odd
Mhm.
reason, they got that footage instead of the original footage, and so it looks like the first couple of episodes looked terrible. Like Optimus Prime had weird coloring. There was a lot of weird stuff. Again, if you're going to watch G1, it was in English first. You watch it in English. If you're going to watch like Headmaster's Master Force Victory, it was in Japanese first. Watch it in Japanese. If you're going to watch Beast Wars, it was in Canada first. Watch it in Canadian, which is English. You know, if you're
Watch
going
the
to,
Canadian cut.
yeah, the Canadian cut. The Canadian cut. Yeah, Wendell's right because the Power Block cut and some of the Fox cuts actually cut out some of the more, dare I say, gruesome kind of scenes, like
Mhm.
guerrilla warfare in the episode where I think it was Other Voices Part One, where Waspinator kicks, Rat Trap kicks Waspinator in the balls. You know, that stuff was cut out. Um, but the point is that you watch it in those original versions, and you keep moving forward. Like I always would tell people, you watch car robots, you don't watch robots in disguise. You
Yeah, sad to
like
say.
you just keep going forward. It's the same thing to me. My love of Nitro Convoy and that character and that design comes from that original Japanese cut, which had the better music. That's another thing too that was completely lost. Was a lot of the music was replaced. It sounded like UK black hip hop. I'm not even joking. Like it's because they got some guy with like an accent like the Autobots will destroy, and it was like hip hop kind of like I
Mhm.
don't know how to describe it. It was so weird the dub of Cybertron. Um, it was almost too self-aware. Some people would always
Mm.
say where it's like because characters would like glow with power,
Uh-huh.
and the dubbers didn't understand the concept of like burning in the inner strength that exists in
Mhm.
anime. So they kind of would just be like, my spark power is glowing. It's just like, no, bro, it's just Dragon Ball. Watch one episode, you'll get it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like just watch one episode of like Transformers Victory did it, Master Force did it. It's not a new idea. It's been around for years. Go watch an episode of Gao Geiger, come back.
Yeah, exactly.
But so like it's hot blooded. It's Gao, man. Just get with it.
It's
Um,
Kai, it's your
yeah, it's
spirit.
Kai. It's your spirit energy. Like so, but that's why. So to
It's your
me,
chi.
people who like always argue with me about the whole thing, where it's a female character. If you want it in your continuity and you enjoy the dub, that's fine. But I mean, it's the same way that I'll look at people and go, so you're trying to tell me when people die in Dragon Ball they go to another dimension? So you're trying to tell me that Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus are just cousins? Like in your dub,
Kissing cousins.
just kissing cousins. In your dub world, you get those limitations. And I'm not saying being a girl's a limitation because I know people are going to twist this, but it's just that I go with the original version. I loved that original version. He was so badass that like I can't separate that. And I'm glad because that's the direction Mastermind Creations going. They're going to call it Nitro. You know what I mean? And as far as I'm concerned, if there's some kind of bio that's going to be coming around, let's hope that is kind of written in that kind of same way too. To really firmly establish that, put that he, instead of she, I guess. Um, because he was just a badass character. And also the final thing is too, the Nitro Convoy toy in Japan for Takara had a gold face. The
Mm.
Override toy had an orange face. So there's another separation too. There was a difference even in the painting of the original toy. When Nitro Convoy was brought over here, a lot of paint was taken away and was given an orange face instead of a gold face. There was little tweaks here and there that were changed. So I mean, this is clearly the Nitro Convoy toy. Looks amazing. Again, I've already messed with this mold from a Calidus point of view.
Okay.
So I already know that this mold is amazing. The little extras is they gave it the new head sculpt, and by changing up the weapon, by giving it the double pistol that Nitro Convoy had, which was also its force chip gimmick, you really change up a little bit the vehicle mode, and it just looks spectacular. Just looks like oh my god, like it just if
You're
this thing
gushing.
if this thing was $200, because I paid like the hot rod ones and the lost light one and the shattered glass one of Calidus. um all of those are like $90 American minimum. Sometimes a little, little wiggle room here or there. If someone told me this was $200, I wouldn't even blink. I wouldn't even blink. This character, literally, like, if you don't count the Cybertron releases, this character had its original release. It had a Kabaya rubber transforming figure, like a minifigure, and it had a Black Evil repaint. That was it. That was it for this character. It
Okay,
had like
okay.
no other toys. And then, of course, like I said, if you dive into the Cybertron side, okay, you have the Override repaint with orange accents, and then you have the black Override GTS repaint, which is just pretty much doing a black version of what the Japanese did. So this is something that I'm super excited about. I've always wanted an updated Override toy. Override was just something when I was working with the club back in the day and with BotCon, that was something I was always pushing for. Could we get a Nitro Convoy toy? Because I always felt like it just wasn't in the cards to happen in the future. So because it was such an, Cybertron was like that last Transformer series before the movies came around and just shook things up. So a lot of
Yeah.
stuff from Cybertron kind of got forgotten. No one associates Jetfire with a green, World War II bomber.
Yeah.
No one associates. Just looking at some of the characters like Wingblade or Scourge, the three-headed dragon. There's so many characters that I mean that was the last. Even like the character of Red Alert, like his last interpretation with that RoboCop-looking face in Cybertron, and before we never see Red Alert ever like that ever again.
Yeah.
Just going back to the G1 name. But anyways, the point is that I really dig this. I'm really excited about this. The second this thing shows up anywhere, I'm going to be all over this, like 200%. What are your thoughts?
I am shocked and surprised, and I remember when I first saw this, I was like, "Yo, dude, check this out!" And then I scrolled up in our little chat, and I was like, "Oh wait, you already posted this. Never mind." Or
When
like,
when when the news broke, it was funny when the news broke. It was Butterfly Effect TF Photo Box, which was the Facebook guy that posted these images,
hmm
because he was at BotFest in person, and he took a whole bunch of photos, and
some really nice stuff
really
too.
nice photos, really high quality photos with a fancy
Because I,
camera.
because I think the ones we're looking at is like part two of a bunch of
Oh
pictures that
yeah,
they
totally.
had posted up, basically.
So he took a bunch of photos of a bunch of other characters too, but we're not going to talk about them yet until like I think we get some more confirmed names on them. So
Okay.
far, only the Nitro one, because I mean, there's a Thunder Clash and a Drift, Evil Drift, and Wing and Drift and stuff like that. So we'll get into those ones when I think we have a more confirmed name for them. But not to mention, it'll confirm also if they're going to happen or if they're not just
Yeah.
convention exclusive. Where Nitro is confirmed. When this news broke, I posted it on my Twitter, and like all like I was just like I literally just wrote Nitro Convoy, like, and like everyone on Twitter was just retweeting it and favoriting it. Like I think it's like as of this recording, it's like over 100 likes and something. Like I was happy to see how many other people were excited about this,
Mm.
because like again, when I list my top three favorite Transformer characters of all time, like my top three consists of a well-known character that everyone knows and two obscure characters, and like that always make people raise their eyebrow. And it's like I really like Hot Rod Rodimus Prime. That's always been my boy. But then the two other characters and the connection with those two is you have Road King from Master Force, and you have Nitro Convoy. Two characters that are embroiled in racing. Like that's their thing. They're race car drivers, and just any race car driver stuff. I love racing. So,
Right.
and in Transformers, race car driving is just such an intrinsic included thing of a certain person's character. Like IDW Blur is a race car driver. Like he's a
Right.
racer, and I that's what I love about IDW Blur and the Casey Collar book when it was Spotlight IDW Blur. Like it's just those kind of characters always intrigue me. So someone like Nitro Convoy and stuff like that. I mean, when you go down more on my list, when you go to like let's say a top five, I feel like Beast Wars Megatron gets thrown in there, maybe
Hmm.
Cheetor, maybe Beast Wars Dinobot. Then you start going into Beast Wars, which is like a great series. But I mean, my top three always has those two weird guys in it, and it's just in the same way. I don't think we'll ever get a Road King toy for a while, and then tomorrow watch there'll be something. But
Yeah, we took that jazz mold. Boom.
oh yeah, no. Who
Give us
knows?
more
Who
money.
knows? Who knows? Like yeah, I always felt like you could with this new Power of the Prime stuff. If we
Hmm.
ever get some kind of a Formula One car down the line, if we ever
Hmm.
do, I could see it happening because he was a Power Master or a God Master as they were called in Japan. So
Right.
I could see something, but I mean, again, it's if it doesn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised. In the same way that I never expected a Nitro Convoy anything, and
Right.
if it took third party to get a masterpiece level Nitro Convoy, all the better. Because I mean, I love this character. So anything else you want to touch on before we move on?
No, not really. Again, you're getting one of your characters. Look at that.
Damn right.
Ridiculous and obscure. An obscure one
And
too.
like a lot of people mentioned on Twitter to me, they're like, isn't it amazing how you get your second favorite character of all time and it's still tied to Rodimus? Yeah. Which is even more weird. It's like you're just buying another Rodimus toy in a lot of ways. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
but yeah.